What up, Blockchain Nation? So, recently the Biden administration released an executive order about cryptocurrencies. So, whatever side of the aisle you stand, whether you're for or against cryptocurrencies, there's something positive that both parties have seen about this new executive order. In my opinion, for the fact that the most powerful, arguably the most powerful person in the entire world is actually speaking about cryptocurrencies is good. It's like how that guy used to say, what's his name? That bad press or good press, all press is good press. Whether it's bad press or good press, it's still press. So I think this is good for Bitcoin, in my opinion. But let's just watch this from CNBC where it talks about this order real quick.
Biden specifically calls for protecting consumers, cracking down on money laundering or other crimes, ensuring financial stability, and promoting responsible innovation while maintaining the U.S.'s competitive edge.
The executive order the president will release today is in exactly that direction, which is we need a comprehensive all-of-government framework to address the emerging risks and opportunities that digital assets pose. And the financial innovation underlying and the technological innovation underlying this boom has a lot of potential benefit, but the risks and the costs are increasingly becoming apparent, and we need a 21st century government structure to actually address this.
The reason the crypto market is responding so positively to the news today is because, well, it's what everyone in the industry has been waiting for, much needed clarity on how the federal government plans to regulate crypto.
So, this is the executive order here. If you really have the time to read through this thing, I mean, reading this will be powerful, but the only problem about sitting down and reading this entire thing is you might end up like this guy. Anyways, I digress. So, reading this, it says advances in digital and distributed ledger technology for financial services have led to dramatic growth in markets for digital assets, which provide implications of the protection of consumers, investors, and business, including data privacy and security, and a whole bunch of other things. Monetary authorities globally are also exploring, in some cases, introducing central bank CBDCs, and etc., etc., etc. So, this is my takeaway from this document. These are my words. I'm not reading verbatim from this document, but basically it's my summary. It says that I believe that what this says is that the Biden administration is directing the federal government to come up with a plan to regulate cryptocurrencies, to understand the risks, the environmental concerns and benefits of crypto or digital assets, and to also explore the creation of a digital dollar. That's the summary. And so these are the things, the four highlights, I would say, looking at this document and reading through, skimming through, and all the other things I read online and watched about this topic, is that there are really four major takeaways of this entire executive order. If you're wondering, okay, what does this imply? It doesn't go into so much detail, but at a high level, these are the four takeaways. The first is that the United States wants to be in front of innovation when it comes to digital currencies. Well, might be a little bit too late, but not too late. So as you know, the United States is a global power, and the United States has always been involved of heavy leading innovation, whether it was in the industrial age of the days of Henry Ford and what was going on in the railroads. That led to the birth of so many billionaires like the Rockefellers of this world, who are obviously Americans, and because America was in front of that revolution. Second, obviously, was the information age, and you have people like them and him, obviously like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and the Zuckerbergs of this world, who were in front of social media, who created great companies, obviously like Apple, like Microsoft, which ended up becoming billion-dollar companies because they were in front when it came to information technology, companies like Google and Amazon and a whole bunch. So America has been in front always in terms of innovation, which is why it's been able to become a global power. Also, buckled with the fact that America is the world's reserve currency, plus to add to that, leader in innovation and a whole bunch of other things, of course, obvious, but that has also led to America being a very successful country. So I feel like in the same way, as much as the Biden administration is looking at trying to regulate cryptocurrencies, they don't want to regulate in such a way that it stifles in innovation, because already, as you can see, other countries are way ahead. Countries like El-Salvador that has made Bitcoin illegal tender, and other countries that accept Bitcoin openly. But America is wants to lead that innovation, but at the same time, they're concerned about obviously the concerns. They're concerned with the concerns around cryptocurrencies, and we'll go into what those are. So the first thing is that they want the US to still be in front when it comes to innovation. Now, the second thing is the Biden administration wants government agencies should explore digital assets and come up with policies or frameworks for suitable regulation. Now, I've done a video about this where I talked about, is Bitcoin regulated? Well, Bitcoin to a certain degree already is regulated, but I guess they want more. I mean, everybody's always screaming and shouting for regulation because, I mean, if you read through this article, it talks about how, read through it really quickly, where it talks about protection of consumers and investors and businesses, data privacy, financial stability and systemic risk, crime, blah, blah, blah. So obviously, there are different agencies that have oversight when it comes to things like this. So let's just really talk about it. I mean, I've done a video about this, but there are different agencies like FinCEN, which regulates financial crimes, and obviously KYC and AML. There's also the OCC, which is the Office of the Control of the Currency. So in this case, Biden is asking different administrations to take a look, but I think what they want to do is, I don't know whether they'll regulate, whether they will appoint a separate entity or a separate institution to do crypto regulation, or they will just use the current organizations that they have and let them be responsible or forward-facing in terms of crypto. So what does that mean? So the question is, what really is cryptocurrency? How do you define it? Or especially something like Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin a security? Is Bitcoin a commodity? By definition, a security is a, by Investopedia, it refers to a fungible, negotiable financial instrument that holds on some sort of monetary value. It represents an ownership of a publicly traded corporation via a stock, a credit relationship with a government body or a corporation represented by owning that entity's bond. So now, Bitcoin, for example, is not a publicly related company. It's not a public company. They're not issuing shares or stocks. So how does Bitcoin really become a security? So CFTC has said that Bitcoin is actually not a security, but it's a commodity. A commodity is a basic good used in commerce that is interchangeable with other goods of the same type. They are most often used as inputs in the production of other goods or services. So if Bitcoin is a security, then the SEC will have oversight. If we win that battle and say that Bitcoin is a commodity, then the CFTC will have oversight. Now, CFTC is basically just watching Bitcoin and doesn't really have too much, doesn't get their hands involved so much. But the SEC on the other hand, they're very different. The SEC has called, if SEC has oversight over like Bitcoin specifically, what that will mean is they want to put controls in place to quote unquote protect consumers. It's like saying you can make a lot of money from this assets. That's why in part of the United States you have what you call accredited investors. People like the average person can participate in some investments that can make them richer because they are quote unquote dangerous. So they have to allow just accredited people, because they are protecting, so quote unquote. Well, I mean, what does that translate to? Why not just have, like I have mutual funds that people can invest in a pool of stock. Like maybe a mutual fund has a little bit of Apple, a little bit of Amazon, a little bit of Microsoft stock. So the average person might not want to take so much risk, can invest in a fund like that. So my point is, with the same thing, arguably, you can do the same thing with crypto as opposed to removing it from people and not letting them get involved. Why not just say, okay, have some kind of, crypto mutual fund or rest? But anyway, I digress. What I'm trying to say is that if the SEC has oversight over Bitcoin or crypto, there might be some rules and regulations that might put in place. So who's going to have oversight? The IRS, for instance, looks at Bitcoin as an asset. And all the IRS cares about is, okay, if you make money from Bitcoin, you gotta pay the IRS. So they've done an extensive video about that. Let me not bore you with that, but watch the videos. So basically, what the Biden administration is saying is that let the government agencies look and research and come up with some kind of policy oversight over this. And I think it might translate to Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies being regulated under one of these other existing bodies, or they create a new department that will handle that. We'll see how that goes. Third is they study the environmental impact. Now, there's always been an argument that Bitcoin is wasteful, Bitcoin is bad for the environment. I've done a video about this as well. Please watch that video. And in conclusion, Bitcoin is energy agnostic. Whether you use renewable energy, whether you use your standard normal energy inputs, it doesn't really matter to Bitcoin. Bitcoin does not have to use a particular type of energy. Bitcoin can leverage renewables And Bitcoin, if you compare what Bitcoin, I'm talking about Bitcoin specifically, I know we're talking about the crypto market, but Bitcoin specifically, what it uses in terms of energy is not even more than what the financial regulations or financial institutions and other companies, big companies, use in terms of their energy production. If you take all the banks in the whole entire world and look at their carbon footprint, I'm sure it's a whole lot more than the crypto industry, but that's just my opinion. So they're studying the environmental impact of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and that's something they want to look at. But like I said, I've done a video about that, and Bitcoin specifically, there are also other cryptocurrencies, and because of the consensus algorithm about Bitcoin and how much energy it uses, people have complained about that it's very energy intensive, but it's big energy agnostic. Crypto can be fueled from renewables. All right. And lastly is of course, the Federal Reserve is exploring or looking at launching a digital dollar. The monetary authorities globally are also exploring and in some cases introducing central bank digital currencies. China has done this. China has over 1 million users on their CBDC platform. Check out this link up here. Talked about that as well. And I said Nigeria. Yeah, Nigeria also did a video about Nigeria's central CBDC as well. But the US hasn't launched its own CBDC, so I think that's what they're leaning to, launching their own Fed coin or federal bank or the United States digital dollar. They're worried about doing that because the United States, of course, is the world's reserve currency. So what would the implication of creating the digital dollar? Will it affect current reserve, but their current position? But at the same time, they do understand that this is where the world is going. So they're looking at should the United States lean in that direction as well. All right, so that's really what this at a high level is. Talking about this, and last thing I'll say is in recent times, as time I'm recording this, there's a war going on between Ukraine and Russia. Check out this video for more information about that. And I also think that around this whole what's going on, sanctions have been placed on Russia, and so there are a group of people out there who believe that, well, if you sanction Russians and you don't let them have access to the financial markets, they can make their loopholes because they can go the back door and they can use cryptocurrencies to exchange their assets. Well, we forget that. Well, I think I saw that recently for someone like Elizabeth Warren, example. She says there's a crypto size hole in a bucket of sanctions against Russia. I'm working on plugging that leak to make sure Russian oligarchs feel as much pressure as possible. Anyways, Bitcoin is an open ledger, crypto is an open ledger, so I think, in my opinion, it's easy to trace when you have people, like people that you mentioned, open up wallets or do transactions of that volume on an open ledger like Bitcoin. I mean, so I'm not sure this is very credible, but anyways, bottom line is that part of these arguments, part of these discussions about cryptocurrencies, digital currencies and regulation, digital currencies came as a result of some of these arguments about how sanctions in Russia and how they can backdoor and they can also use crypto assets as a way of avoiding some of these sanctions or avoiding some of the fact that their assets have been frozen globally, but they can also use crypto to exchange those assets. Anyways, that's pretty much what I have for this. I think regardless of this, it's just exciting news. The fact that the President of the United States is even talking about crypto is exciting. So it's just, I always say it all the time, it's going to become a second nature to us. I thought we'll look back and be like, hey, why is it that everybody was even going crazy about crypto when we use it every single day? Some of these arguments are part of the arguments that started in the early days of the internet, but look at where we are today. People are like, how the heck would you want to not have the internet? So I think that's what is going to happen also when it comes to digital currencies and cryptocurrencies, or cryptocurrencies and digital assets, in my humble opinion. So that is all I have. And like I always say, till next time, my wish for you is that you learn more about crypto, because crypto is changing and will change the world. And those who get involved, in my personal opinion, will greatly impact the future. And if that is you, then let's go change the world.
If you would like to create more awareness for your brand or content, or you would like to earn additional income, register now on www.Kleekee.com. The more you share, the more you earn. Kleekee.